October 20th, 2011, the Libyan desert. A sand and smoke storm envelops the city of Sirte. From those smoking ruins, a convoy of 75 vehicles is emerging. Inside one of these armored SUVs is a hunted man. It is Muammar Gaddafi. The man who ruled Libya with an iron fist for 42 years is now fleeing for his life. But there is one thing Gaddafi doesn't know. He isn't hiding from the Libyan rebels. He is trying to hide from the deadliest military machine on the planet. Thousands of miles away, at an airbase in the Nevada desert, an American pilot watches his every move through the screen of a Predator drone. In a few minutes, the fate of the mad dog of the Middle East will be sealed forever by an American Hellfire missile. Official history says Gaddafi was captured and killed by his own people. But the truth is different. Without a secret, calculated, and ruthless operation orchestrated by Washington, the colonel would never have fallen. To understand why the United States wanted Gaddafi's head, we must take a step back. Gaddafi wasn't just any dictator, he was a historical enemy. Ronald Reagan had publicly renamed him the Mad Dog of the Middle East. In 1986, after Libyan agents blew up a nightclub in Berlin, frequented by American soldiers, dozens of fighter jets bombed Tripoli in the dead of night, with the explicit goal of killing him in his bed. Gaddafi miraculously survived, but lost an adopted daughter. His revenge came 2 years later, in 1988, when a Pan Am flight exploded in the skies over Lockerbie, Scotland, killing 270 people, mostly Americans. For Washington, the tab had been open for decades. They were just waiting for the right moment to present it. But it wasn't just a matter of revenge. Gaddafi was sitting on the largest oil reserves in Africa and, above all, on a mountain of over 140 tons of pure gold. With that immense wealth, Gaddafi was about to launch a move that terrified the West, the Pan-African gold dinar. The idea was simple but devastating: to convince all African states to stop selling their oil in US dollars or French francs and begin selling it exclusively in this new currency backed by real gold. Had he succeeded, he would have destroyed the West's financial monopoly over Africa. In 2011, the wind changed. The Arab Spring ignited North Africa. When the revolt reached Libya, Gaddafi didn't take a step back. He promised to hunt down the rebels, alley by alley, house by house. This is where the trap was sprung. In Washington, Hillary Clinton and President Barack Obama, also driven by pressure from French President Nicolas Sarkozy, saw the perfect opportunity. The media machine was set in motion. Officially, there was talk of an imminent genocide in Benghazi, of a strictly necessary humanitarian intervention to save civilians. Unofficially, it was time to remove a historical thorn in the side and stop the gold dinar. On March 17, 2011, the UN Security Council passed Resolution 1973, imposing a no-fly zone over Libya. Within hours, the American Operation Odyssey Dawn began. On paper, NATO led the operation, but in reality, without the United States, nothing would move. They provided 80% of the intelligence, the satellites, mid-air refueling, and the missiles. On March 19th, the assault began. From American and British ships and submarines in the Mediterranean, over 110 Tomahawk missiles were launched in a single night. The target, Gaddafi's radars, anti-aircraft defenses, and command centers. It was a surgical strike that completely blinded the Libyan army. In the following months, NATO aircraft would strike over 6,000 targets. Without control of the skies, loyalist forces were paralyzed. NATO jets did not strike blindly. On the ground, camouflaged among the Libyan rebels, were dozens of special forces operators secretly infiltrated into the desert. They used laser designators to illuminate Gaddafi's tanks. An invisible beam pointed at the target on the ground, and seconds later, a laser-guided bomb fell from the sky to destroy it. The rebels on the ground, previously disorganized, were now advancing, guided by the best strategists on the planet. In August, Tripoli fell. The rebels invaded the Bab al-Azizia compound. Gaddafi's underground bunker, a reinforced concrete labyrinth, was breached, but there was no trace of the colonel. He had vanished. Thus began a massive manhunt, managed by American intelligence agencies. Gaddafi moved through the desert. He was paranoid, knowing the sky was full of eyes. He stopped using radios and cell phones, communicating only through paper messages, hand-delivered by his couriers. U-2 spy planes and Global Hawk drones scoured the thermal and electronic emissions of every inch of the desert. Gaddafi held out for weeks until he made a fatal mistake. October 2011. The Rais was trapped in his hometown, Sirte, surrounded by thousands of rebels thirsty for revenge. Gaddafi was desperate. He tried to contact leaders of neighboring countries to organize an escape route. He turned on his Inmarsat satellite phone, a very brief ping, just a few seconds. But it was enough. At Fort Meade, Maryland, NSA, computers registered the signal. They now knew exactly which city block he was on. On the morning of October 20th, Gaddafi realized that Sirte was about to fall. He gathered his loyalists, his bodyguard, and attempted a suicidal escape. A massive convoy of 75 SUVs, heavily armed, tried to break through the encirclement towards the south. They hoped to exploit the chaos and a providential sandstorm to escape into the deep desert. But you don't escape the eye of America. The sandstorm didn't stop the infrared cameras of a remote-piloted American Predator drone, which spotted the massive column of fleeing vehicles. The pilot relayed the coordinates. The Predator launched a Hellfire missile that hit the lead vehicle dead-on, pulverizing it and blocking the entire convoy on the road. Immediately, 3 French Mirage 2000 fighter bombers swooped into the area and dropped 500-pound laser-guided bombs on the clustered vehicles. The strike was devastating. Dozens of vehicles were incinerated. Over 50 loyalists died instantly in a storm of flames and twisted metal. Gaddafi survived the explosion, but he was wounded. Bleeding along with a handful of bodyguards, he sought refuge by crawling inside a large concrete drainage pipe under the main road. But the explosions had drawn the rebels to the scene. He would be dragged out of that pipe, beaten, lynched by the furious mob, and executed with a gunshot to the head. The United States did not pull the trigger of the weapon that killed Gaddafi, but they provided the intelligence, paralyzed his defenses, hunted him from the sky, and destroyed his only escape route, delivering him to his executioners. Without Gaddafi, Libya never became a democracy. It collapsed into a brutal and chaotic civil war. Gaddafi's immense military arsenals were looted. Sirte, the city where Gaddafi died, became the capital of the Islamic State, ISIS, for years. A surgical military operation, perfect from a tactical and technological point of view, which turned into one of the greatest and perhaps most calculated geopolitical disasters of our century.